Hello and welcome to a new week of meals. I am starting off with something super duper easy, as I usually do. I am just browning off some chicken thighs here on my skillet. I'm gonna add some broccoli and my favorite Yoshida's dressing to this and call it a night. So here's that frozen broccoli, just straight from the freezer into the skillet. It's gonna get nice and defrosted in here, easy peasy, no big deal. So once that is defrosted, I am going to chop up the chicken thighs, and I'm going to add that to the broccoli, add the sauce, and as I said, this will be all ready to serve on top of some rice. Here is that famous Yoshida's that I just love, a marinade cooking sauce. I use it for everything, really. It's so simple. If you can't get your hands on a bottle of this stuff, I've linked it down below in my affiliate links if you're interested in purchasing some off of Amazon. But I usually get mine at Costco, so check it out there. They also have some smaller bottles at like Walmart and grocery stores. But that is it. That is basically our dinner. Again, we just served it over some rice, and that is our first meal of the week. Second night was ramen. Had a big headache, so I remembered I had 2 packages of ramen, added some coleslaw mix, and called it a day. Both Rob and Colin had late lunches, so this was just for me. Again, this was just real simple, really, really easy, but tasty nonetheless. And that is the second meal of the week. Pasta with meat sauce was on the menu for the next meal that I'm sharing with you here. So I've got some mild Italian pork sausage here that I'm just browning up in the pan right here. I am gonna add some garlic and onion to this, saute with, there is some extra virgin olive oil in there as well, just to make things a little bit easier. So kind of brown that until that is mostly done. And here you go with the aromatics. We've got our onion and garlic, and I'm going to continue browning the sausage. Adding some 80/20 ground beef to this. I think this is about 1 pound or so. Again, just gonna cook that until it's all browned. Gonna add the sauce and some seasonings, and that will be it to serve on top of some pasta. I know the recipes this week are not rocket science, but sometimes you just gotta have those weeks, and truth be told, I am a person that likes to keep things easy. I want to cook things that I know my family will eat, so this is how I do it. I think there's a song about that. Got some salt and pepper here before I add the tomato sauce or the pasta sauce that I'm going to be using, which I'll show you in just a second. And here's the vodka sauce that I like to use. I just get it from Aldi. I'm using about half a jar to start, and then I'm gonna mix it up and then decide to add a little bit more. So I don't use a complete jar, probably used about 3/4 of it, however. So I'm gonna mix this up and see where we go from here. I remembered I had a bit of ketchup left, so I'm just gonna squeeze all of what's left in the bottle into the sauce here. It's not a whole lot, probably about, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe two to 3 tablespoons at most. I'm gonna mix that up here, and I think we're pretty much ready to go. You can also add additional garlic powder and onion powder as well, so season it as you like. I do believe I do add some oregano just to bump up that sort of Italian flair to this. As you saw a second ago, I did add a little bit more of that vodka sauce, as I mentioned I would. So here we go here. once it's mixed throughout, I'm gonna pop a lid and just let that simmer to let all the flavors meld together. And this is what you get. That's our pasta with a meat sauce and some cheese on top. I'm using Mexican cheese as well as Asiago because that's what we have, but tasty dinner nonetheless. I also made some garlic bread for the guys, which I did not show here, but I made it with some sourdough bread, and this was our dinner for the next night. Lastly, I am trying my hand at making a crazy crust pizza with some prosciutto. We've got mushrooms and some green olives here. Someone suggested in the comments of one of my last videos to try the crazy crust pizza. I know there are different recipes out there, but this is the one I chose, and I will link this one down below. It's basically a liquid batter, so you don't need to knead the dough or anything like that. So again, recipe will be linked down below, including the ingredients and measurements, and I'll just kind of sort of talk you through this here. So we've got some flour, we have some Italian seasoning. Italian seasoning is what is called for in the recipe. I don't have Italian seasoning per se, so I grabbed everything I thought would fit the bill. We've got oregano, parsley, I've got garlic powder, onion powder, some, what else, basil, we've got salt, pepper, so that's, again, recipe will be down below. Mixing the dry ingredients together, and then I'm going to add 2 eggs, some milk. I actually don't have milk, so I used half heavy whipping cream and half water, so that is where I deviate from the original recipe as well. It turned out just fine, I think. So I'm going to mix that together, and that is pretty much the batter to go. So we'll mix that up, and then I will pour it into my sheet pan. Here is what the batter looks like, nice and thick. This reminds me of basically a savory pancake batter. So I think that's kind of the idea here. Anyway, I am going in with some spray olive oil here that I did above the sink so I wouldn't mess up the table, although it's already pretty messed up. You can see the batter pours nice and thickly here. I put it right in the middle, and I try to do my best spreading it out. Initially, I thought, this is not enough batter. This is not going to cover this entire pan, but it did. It did. So yeah, so this is what I'm doing right here. I tried a couple techniques for spreading the batter. I tried just using the spatula, and then I tried the sort of tilt the pan method, but because of the spray oil, it was just kind of moving around rather than really spreading along the base of this pan. So what I ended up doing was going back to the spatula and just spreading it around just very carefully to make sure it's kind of as evenly coated as possible. And that is what I'm doing right here. And I think it worked out just fine. Okay, there you go, all spread out. Next step is to add the toppings. I was so excited to put the prosciutto down that I completely forgot to add cheese. That is right, I was supposed to put mozzarella cheese down. Didn't realize this until it was probably about, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes in the oven, out of a total of 20 minutes. So what I ended up doing was adding the mozzarella cheese, pulling this out, adding the cheese, and then putting back in for the last half. So whatever, it's just a topping. So anyway, just in case you're wondering, why she hasn't put cheese on, that's exactly why. So this is the prosciutto. I'm putting it down right on top of the batter, and then I'm going to add some sliced mushrooms and the green olives. These are the toppings I obviously decided to put on our pizza. The recipe says to put, you know, Italian sausage and, you know, other traditional sort of toppings. But I was inspired, since I'm still editing some videos for my trip to Spain, which was like 2 years ago. I watched an episode of the pizza that I had one day, and it had exactly this. It had actually ham and sliced mushrooms and green olives, and I thought that was a really good pizza. So I actually had all this stuff in the refrigerator, so I decided to do that for this pizza, and I think overall it turned out really, really well. There you go, ready for the oven. You can see, as I mentioned, I forgot to put the cheese on, but I do that in just a little bit. And this is the finished product. I kept it in just a little too long. I'm lifting it up to see if, I thought I burned the bottom, but it actually turned out just fine. The edges were crispy, but you could see it's nice and golden brown at the bottom. It did not stick to the pan, so spraying it definitely was a bonus. I actually do kind of like my cheese a little bit brown like this. I think it's nice, you know, that toasty cheese flavor. So I'm gonna go in to cut it. It is super, super thin. This crust is super thin, and along the edges where it's dark brown, it's really almost like a cracker. It's almost like crispy like a cracker. So that was actually kind of fun. I wasn't sure at first when I gave this a taste. I wasn't sure that I really liked it, but in the end, it wasn't so bad. Very, very thin pizza. Not my favorite crust, I have to say. I may try another recipe that might be a little bit different. I think I would have liked this better if it rose a little bit more. It was more doughy, but in any case, this is what the pizza looks like. I drizzled some olive oil and then later added some peri-peri sauce just to spice it up a little bit. But that is our finished pizza. Hope you guys enjoyed the meals for the week. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.